Hey everybody, welcome to Hump Day Hangout. This is episode 521. I, for some weird reason, had to look that up. I should have remembered last week was episode 520, which was the 10-year anniversary. But anyways, here we are. Today is the 6th of November, 2024. And we got a couple of quick announcements. Gonna say hi to the guys, and then we will be jumping into your questions. So first things first, Chris, how are you doing today?
Doing good, still recovering from last week's episode from the big anniversary party, but other than that, pretty good.
Nice. Yeah, it was nice to see Marco and Hernan catch up with those guys, hear what they're up to, and yeah, I mean Bradley, like you mentioned, I think we should definitely talk to Rob, have him maybe come on a Hump to
Yeah.
Hangout. Sounds like a webinar in the future there with the stuff they're developing.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I had a call with Marco today. We scheduled just a follow-up call, and so we got spent almost 30 minutes today on a Zoom meeting, just chatting and just catching up because it's been several years. And so it was really cool. They've got the software that they're developing, him and Rob, does what I've been teaching for months. Like it does a lot of that. I mean, it does other things too, but
Yep.
it covers that, which that the kind of entity analysis where topic and category research and all the stuff that I've been teaching that I do manually. And there's been a number of times people have asked on Hump Day Hangouts, like, isn't there a software that can do this? And I said, I don't know. Like, honestly, if there is, I'm unaware of it. And then Marco and Rob, they're building something that does in part what I've been sharing. And so he demoed part of it today and was showing me some of the output of the analysis that it does because it accesses multiple large language models. And so it collates all this data into a spreadsheet, and it can help you very quickly identify the topic level topics and categories and the tangential topics or semantically related entities and all that kind of stuff. And it does it and it groups everything and organizes it very well. And so I was telling him, I was like, dude, this is exactly what, could automate a lot of this manual research. And I said, so anyways, he's going to set me up with a demo account so that I can test with it and all that. And then we'll introduce that to our audience when it's, when it's appropriate. But anxious to get my hands on it and see if it can really help streamline a lot of this research stuff. So
Definitely. Well, yeah, if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay, leave a comment and let us know if you'd like us to set something up with Marco and Rob and get this out and see if that's something people want. So I'd be
sure,
happy to set that up if people are interested. Let's see, Bradley. Also, let's see, you had a webinar on Monday with Jeremy, right?
I did. Yeah, it was
Cool.
the another Press Advantage webinar, which we do about twice a year, I think now,
Yeah.
really. But he's added a whole bunch of new stuff to it. There was some new kind of distribution networks and things. He's added some new AI kind of options and some upgrade options and stuff that can be done with it. So it was a very, very informative webinar. Also, he talks about, which is new, this is newer, which is how these press release sites are one of the great ways that we can influence suggested, the SGE type of searches, right? So AI summarized search results, we can influence those summaries. The data that where those that data is pulled from is in part from high authority type properties, which means you can influence those large language models oftentimes by publishing content through press release publications, etc. So and it's really interesting because that kind of jives with what Peter Drew has been kind of talking about and teaching in his Fourth Mind course about how to influence large language models so that when they are creating summaries to answer questions and stuff, unlike traditional search results, we can influence the data that they're using to form those answers, if that makes sense. And so it's kind of manipulating on a different level. And so that's, I think there was a question today from Huzaifa about specifically that. So we'll address that again. But Jeremy was talking about how press releases can influence that and how you can utilize that to help position clients and et cetera to be better prepared for when that transition occurs, if it ever fully occurs, which I assume it will because people are getting mad at Google. The quality of the research results keeps declining. So
Cool. That
go
was
check it
most,
out.
yeah, yeah. I was gonna say I was looking at my notes. I don't see anything else. Wanted to make sure people knew about the replay. We are going, oh, I guess now is a good time to mention it. We are going to be, or rather, I don't know how we need to come up with a good way to phrase this, but DHA phase one, we're going to be starting kind of a new cohort or group in late January or early February. We'll have more information coming out about that. I appreciate those of you who have already expressed your interest in that, and I will be putting the link into chat here as well, so you can pop your name in there if you're interested in joining that training, the Directory Hybrid Agency training, which I guess now is not too soon. Bradley, do you mind doing the elevator pitch real quick?
No, it's fine. The DHA program is the Directory Hybrid Agency. The phase one part of that, which is about building the prospecting and sales machine, which is the one that generates leads for the agency consistently and all that, and the different kind of approach that we use for initiating conversations with the business owners or an executive at the companies in the specific industry that we want to target. So that's the whole process about phase one. It's a 12-week program because there's a lot to it. There's a lot to set up. But man, once it's set up, one of our members in the current phase one group, so this is the group two that has gone through the phase one program. This is the second group that is going through the phase one program. So we're going to launch phase one group three. It's going to be available for group three at the first or second week in January is when we're going to redo it again. So this current group's only 7 members. And one of them, Bill, he's in the plumbing industry or whatever. He put his directory up and started sending emails. We had our group accountability meeting on Mondays. And so this Monday he was telling me he's already got 13 inbound replies. Like he just started mailing 2 weeks ago, and he's got 13 inbound replies from plumbers in the areas that he's targeting. So guys, this fucking works. It works like a charm, and it's a long-term sustainable way to generate leads for your own agency in a particular industry so that you can simplify your business model, reduce your workload, and scale through duplicating what you know already works in a particular industry. And so the whole phase one program is about setting up the directory, the cold email machine, warming everything up, configuring it all properly, and then starting to mail consistent cold emailing so that you can generate leads for your agency. Phase two, we're also going to be launching that around the same time that we launch phase one again. That's a 6-week program for graduates of phase one, for anybody that wants to learn the sales and fulfillment processes that I've developed. And so that's a 6-week program that's going to really, the first part is generating the leads. The second part is making the sale and fulfilling those services, if that's clear. And so that's what phase two is going to start the same time that phase one group three starts, but it'll only be a 6-week program. So if you guys are interested in that, if you have trouble or struggle to keep steady stream of leads coming into your own agency for your products and your services, this would be a great opportunity for you to get set up for 2025 to be a good year. We've got a lot of reasons right now to think or expect that 2025 is going to be a good year financially for us. So we should probably prepare and set out to make it so.
Awesome. All right. Well, that was all of the announcements for today. So unless you guys have anything else besides me saying real quick, if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, definitely subscribe and you'll get notifications of this, but also you can stay up to date on all of the other videos. But other than that, if there's nothing, let's get into the questions.
Let's do it. Got a bunch of questions. So just going to grab the screen and go right into it. I believe I didn't answer any of these from last week, or so I did keep a few of these up. I think I just cleared out the ones that I did answer, so I'm going to kind of jump in and start trying to go through them. We've got a handful of them. I read through most of them, so I think we'll be able to get through all of these today. So we're going to start right now, and then we'll get to comments if there's time. Who's IFA, who was a resident question asker right now. He has a lot of really good questions, but the first one was, should we create S3 cloud pages for other locations we are targeting within a larger area, the ones without a GBP, or should ID pages only be created for location landing pages or locations with a Google Business Profile? And the mirroring structure of the diagram shows ID page for each location page. Well, no. So to be clear, we have a cloud page for each location page there. That's not the same as an ID page. An ID page is a cloud page, but an ID page is a cloud page. Well, it doesn't have to be a cloud page. I make ID pages on cloud hosts. Okay. So it is a cloud page, but it is specifically used in the add ID field of the local business schema. And it doesn't have to be a cloud page. That's just how I've done it since 2019. Okay. So to be clear, the content mirroring structure is using cloud pages, but they're not ID pages, because the ID page is, remember, it's an asset, a unique resource identifier, URI, with the purpose of validating or corroborating local entity information for a specific branded location. Okay. So an ID page is just a page on the web. It doesn't have to be an S3 page or cloud page, nothing. It can be a page on your website. Okay. There's a reason why I do it on a cloud host instead. But a page on a cloud, an ID page is just some dedicated resource that has all the entity information that helps to validate a particular branded location. That's what an ID page is. Okay. The way that I build them is as a cloud page on Amazon S3. And then the way that ID pages are supposed to work, well, it depends on where they're being used, right? For local business, an ID page would be specifically referencing any of the page URLs that have accurate information published about that specific location. And when I say have accurate information published, I mean name, address, phone number, website, or some combination of those 4 data points, right? That's called a citation, guys. Understand that. A published mention is a citation. It doesn't matter. People think of them as business directory listings. That is true. A structured citation is typically a business directory listing. But any published mention of any of those data points elsewhere is also a citation. It is somewhere where a local business, company, brand, and their contact information, location information, et cetera, is being cited, right? It's being referenced. And so, again, ID pages for how they're used in local business schema is specifically to corroborate or validate the local entity information for that specific branded location. Then there can be overall brand schema, which would be like organization schema. And organization schema can have an ad ID field too, right? So you can have an overall brand ID page that references anything that reinforces or validates the brand, but doesn't have to be location specific, because it could be a multi-location brand, right? That has multiple local business locations, and therefore there's overall brand schema, which can be done at the organization schema level with an ID page optimized at the brand level. And then there's branded location schema, which is local business schema, if that makes sense. So the whole point about that is an ID page is something that can be used. Technically, you can do an ID page for a location that doesn't even have a Google Business profile, right? You could, especially if you're trying to mimic that it is a local business, you could do it. Because, you could have local business schema on various pages. I don't recommend it. Instead, I would just use web page schema and just still reference all the entities that I want Google to understand about that page. And you can do all of that through web page schema, same as attributes, or excuse me, knows about, areas served, all those types of alternate type mentions, all those different attributes that you can inject into web page schema to make Google fully aware of what the page is about without trying to simulate having a local business presence in areas that you don't, if that makes sense. So to be clear, ID pages as they relate to local business schema should be only used for specific locations that have a Google Business profile, right? And then the local business schema goes into that location landing page, meaning the website URL linked to from the GBP as the website URL. That's the location landing page. That's where local business schema goes. It doesn't go site-wide. It's not something that you put globally in the HTML header that goes on every page. It should go into the location landing page. And then it's optimized for those specific location details, and any supporting assets, citation URLs, external page URLs, etc., that have accurate information published about that business should be referenced in that local business schema, in that ID page that is referenced in that local business schema, if that's clear, right? So for everything else, yeah, you can have cloud pages. And remember, you can use web page schema and all of those cloud pages to add a hell of a lot more detail as to what you want the search engines to understand about the page, right? That's what that's for. Okay. Moving on. So recommended SEO plugin for WordPress. Well, I hate WordPress, but I am forced to still use it in some cases. And so my preferred SEO plugin is SEO Press Pro, the SEO Press Pro plugin. That's what I use. Rank Math is decent. I used Rank Math for several years until I was turned on to SEO Press. And Rank Math Pro, I always use the pro versions of SEO plugins because it helps you to eliminate a lot of additional plugins, because with the pro version, it incorporates a lot of things that you would have other plugins for. So it makes it a little bit easier to manage WordPress, but WordPress is a nightmare to manage, in my opinion, anymore. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I fucking hate WordPress, just to be clear. Okay. I don't like it anymore at all, just because it requires so much updates and management and hacking potential and everything else. And Adam's about to chime in, so you
Oh,
must
I was
have a
just
comment
joking.
about
I
it
was
as
going to
well.
say, like, Bradley, are you trying to say that you don't like WordPress?
Yeah, let me tell you how I really feel. No, but seriously, WordPress is a pain in the ass, and every time I log into it, I've got dozens of updates, and it's easy to be hacked, and there's just so much crap that I don't like dealing with WordPress. Now that high level sites are performing well, I prefer building sites in high level. Okay. For all the reasons I've mentioned many times. Next question. What do you think about, this is the question that I was referring to earlier about how to manipulate SGE and AI summaries and that kind of stuff. What do you think the future of SEO looks like with AI on the rise? If Google starts showing AI overviews for local and e-commerce searches, could that change things a lot? Yes, it absolutely can change things a lot. Would we have to shift to Google or Facebook ads if that happens? Well, I've been talking about for months that I think we should all become better at Google ads. Although I don't make a whole lot of effort to become better at Google ads because I feel like it's almost necessary for local businesses, because as I'm sure you're aware, most local search queries now, before you get to the first non-paid listing, whether it's in maps or below in the organic section below maps, the maps or the local finder 3-pack, you have to scroll below the fold in many cases to get to the first non-paid listing, right? Because they have Google guaranteed or local service ads at the top, and then they have regular ads, and then they have the maps pack that now has paid ads in the maps pack. And so you have to scroll below the fold in many cases before you ever get to the first non-paid or listing, right? And so because of that, I've said that I think we should be incorporating more PPC stuff into our local SEO campaigns or local marketing campaigns, because I feel like it's almost necessary. I've still not gotten really good at local ads. I have not had the bandwidth to play around and test with that recently at all. I haven't really messed with ads at all much in the last couple of months, but I think it's necessary in order to help our clients stay relevant in this environment as it continues to change. But then also, how do we optimize for the large language models so that when they are summarizing data that they've scraped from the web, right, which is how they collect all their data, that they use the data that we want it to when describing or doing a search for in a particular area or things like that. And that's one of the things that Jeremy talked about on the Press Advantage webinar on Monday, which is on our YouTube channel. Just go to our YouTube channel, you'll see the replay. Watch it. It's worth it because it talks about how to manipulate that stuff. Peter Drew has the Fourth Mind mastermind training or whatever, which is his training and group about specifically how to manipulate AI search and AI large language models. And I know because Peter's asked me to do some things for him where they're testing manipulating Grok, which is Twitter or X's large language model that you now have access to I don't know if everybody has access to it, but I upgraded my X profile to the top level paid account so that I could have access to it, just to play around with it and stuff. And so like he's been testing on how to kind of manipulate what Grok returns when people do a search in Grok. So there's ways to manipulate that stuff too. And a lot of that comes back to specifically when it comes as it relates to local search is building brand authority. I mean, we've been talking about this for years, really. But really over the last kind of year and a half or 2 years, I've noticed that brand authority is the most critical thing that you can do, the most important thing that you should prioritize when doing local SEO for clients, right? Or at all, when doing local SEO, period, is building brand authority, right? That it by far has the most significant impact on how a campaign is going to perform in local search right now, in my opinion. That by far is the most important aspect of it is brand authority. How can you force Google to understand who the business is, what they do, and where they do it, and reinforce that data as much as possible so that Google has a very clear understanding of that? If Google has a clear understanding of who the business is, what they do, and where they do it, then you will need far less of the other signals, other external type of signals, in order to influence Google search, which is why branding is so critically important. Building brand authority is so critically important. And so how do we do that? There's a number of the ways we just described, like such as having an ID page, having branded and supporting assets, like more citations, not necessarily just business directory listings, although those are included, but published mentions elsewhere on the web that then we spoon feed back into Google and saying, hey, this is this brand elsewhere on the web. Here is some validating or supporting evidence of that, right? And again, it goes back to linking out to paid external URLs with GB posts, referencing them in same as attributes, putting them into an ID page, and then properly referencing the ID page in local business schema and making sure Google's aware of it, right? All of those things. publishing content on certain publications that are weighted heavier or given more priority by Google, right? Publications that we know the large language models are crawling and scraping for data, right? That's where we should be getting our clients listed, having articles published, things like that. So all of these are things that we should be doing that go back to like all the things that we can do to help our companies or our clients' brands become stronger. So build strength to their brands are going to help them be better positioned for when AI summaries and AI search takes over, right? So these are all things that I think are important that we should all be striving towards. Like we talk about Local Fury, our Local Fury signal service is specifically about pushing brand signals. We incorporate location signals and keyword signals into those search signals as well, but it's all about branding because that helps to push brand authority. And that is, again, the most important thing right now. Okay. I'm not saying you shouldn't also do all the other SEO things. I'm just saying you can have significant issues in some of those other areas, right? I always talk about four main components of optimizing for local search. There's the entity, which is always step one, on page for the self-hosted site, on page for the GPP, and an off page. An off page contains two main components, backlinks and signals, engagement signals, which includes social signals, click-through activity, replies, shares, all those kinds of things. Right. And obviously backlinks, which is a traditional off-page signal. And so what I'm saying is if there's enough brand authority, right, if a local business has accrued enough brand authority, then you can have deficiencies in across several of those areas or significant deficiencies in any one area, and it still tends to perform really, really well. You can overcome problems with significantly more problems when the brand strength is proper, right? When with enough brand strength, you can overcome other problems. And so that's why I think it's critically important, guys. I'm telling you that right there alone is the key, in my opinion, to local SEO right now is branding, doing and forcing Google to remember that brand is nothing other than an entity, right? An entity, person, place, or thing. So a brand is a thing, right? It's a corporate entity. And so if you can build authority to that, and then you force the associations. What is the semantic web? It's how entities relate to each other or associate with each other. So we should be forcing or trying to force Google to recognize the associations between the brand and the products and services it provides and the locations in which it provides them. And we can do that by building a strong brand presence, right? And through that process, associating that brand with the products and services and locations that we want Google to understand about that. And we do that through publishing content, citations, building branded and supporting assets where we are creating entity references with the brand at all times. Like, do you understand? And so all of those things are going to help to influence this part of search too. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, so I have no idea how it's all going to play out. But I feel like right now there's no question that building brand authority should be the priority of what we do for our local clients. That is going to help improve search exposure, right? By just building brand authority, that helps everything else become more, all the other signals become more effective with proper branding, if that's clear. So, good question. Appreciate it. Moving on. Next one is how to make a perfect Google map for local site. I mean, with perfect entities. I'm not sure what you mean. If you're talking about using like Google My Maps, I don't do those anymore. I just honestly don't. I don't mess with them. It's not that they can't still be valuable. They can. I just don't do it. So I'm not going to be the one to be able to tell you how to do it. No, so I don't. If you're talking about building My Maps for the purpose of pushing, geo-relevance, et cetera, back to a project, I know it can still be effective. I personally don't do it. Okay, just to be clear. So I don't think I can answer that. If you're talking about how to build a sitemap for a local site with entity optimization, well, then there's so many different situations and scenarios. That's why people that have joined my mastermind have said, well, how come you have SOPs for a lot of stuff, and why don't you have SOPs for on-page optimization? It's precisely because there are so many different circumstances and configurations, it would be impossible for me to create a standard operating procedure for each and every one of the circumstances. Okay, so the next question is, well, what do you mean by the circumstances are different in that it would change how you would optimize things? Well, is it a single location business? Is it a storefront business or a service area business? So is it a storefront business or a service area business with one location? Is it a single service category service area business or a multi-service category service area business? What happens if they have multiple locations? All of these things change how you would optimize or structure the site, right? So are you going to do a simple silo structure or a complex silo structure? That means how many levels to a silo. If it's top level in post, that's a simple silo structure, which is what I always recommend if possible. If it's going to be a large service area with a lot of different services and sub-services or a lot of different locations, like a multi-state project or something, then a complex silo structure is more appropriate, which is going to be 2 levels, top level category, subcategory, post, right? So 3 levels in the URL structure versus 2, which is a simple silo structure. So then again, internal linking. All the different things are going to change depending on those types of configurations or situations, the circumstances in which that particular local site needs to be built. Okay. So I give framework, I give different examples of different scenarios in the mastermind so that people can learn the concepts and then apply those methods in any scenario. That's the goal. Certainly it's difficult to do in some cases, but it can be done. And that's why I try to show different examples on mastermind webinars and such. But you can't build SOPs for that without covering every single scenario. Does that make sense? So that's why I don't have those. But I don't even know that that was the question. So I'm going to move on. Next one. This one is from Ramon, I think. Cinnamon, excuse me. Cinnamon Buffalo Sasquatch. What a name. Good afternoon. Do you have a process for de-optimizing a page? For example, I have an e-commerce site where the category pages are ranking for keywords like product price or product value. I want to create new pages to target those types of keywords and have the category page rank for keywords like buy product or product for sale, etc. I'm sorry, I can't help you with that just because I don't do e-com. I just don't do e-commerce, and that's what it sounds like you're doing. And that's just not something that I'm going to have any kind of valid recommendations for because I just don't do that kind of SEO. Anchor text links, things like that, like how are the pages internally linked? That has an influence on it. How are the pages titled? What words or phrases, so search queries or keywords, are in the heading tags of the page? Like for local SEO, I know that Google isn't really paying attention to the content of a page. What Google is looking at are the main optimization elements of the page, which is the URL, titles, headings, subheadings, and internal linking. That's what Google's looking at. It's not looking at the content between the headings, right? That should be optimized for conversions, not for Google right now in local search. I'm telling you, guys, it's a waste of time if you're trying to optimize the content between the headings and subheadings for Google right now. Just optimize your URL, titles, headings, subheadings, and internal linking, and Google will understand what the page is about. So then you should focus on your content, should be focused on conversion optimization. What is compelling to get the reader, the visitor, whatever, to take whatever conversion goal it is that you want them to take. That should be what you're writing copy for now, not for search, because you optimize at the structure level for pages right now, that for local search at least, you optimize the structure of the page, and that's what Google's looking at, right? And so like these types of things, like you got to look at the headings, guys. Like I don't know about e-commerce. I'm assuming that is also relevant to e-com, but I don't know. I don't do e-com. Okay. Full disclosure. But look at the main optimization elements of the page. SEO title, well, the URLs, that's always the first touch point. By the way, guys, how do large language models find pages on the site or find things to crawl through URLs? So URLs and backlinks aren't going anywhere. Like backlinks aren't going to go away anytime soon. That's the first touch point for any crawler is the URL. So look at the URL, look at the SEO title, look at the H1, look at the H2s, which are headings, look at all the subheadings, H3s, 4s, 5s, look at internal links, menu links, etc. And try to, you can change what Google understands about a page by changing those main optimization elements, links that are pointing to the page, both internally and externally, all of that. Okay. But as far as straight up product SEO type stuff, I can't help you with that because it's just not my area of expertise. Next. All right. This one is from Ramon, Ramon. He said, I think I answered this last week, but I think it was posted twice, which is why I answered it last week. But since it's only 4:30, I'll answer it again. Question. Hi, everyone. I'm starting from scratch with no experience in GoHighLevel or WordPress, and my main goal is to generate leads for my roofing company. Does the Semantic Mastery course address how to effectively structure GoHighLevel for lead generation? Yes. And yes, I did answer this last week. And 100%. We have full SOPs specifically for how to build local lead generation sites in HighLevel. Soup to nuts, guys, like start to finish. There is no stone left unturned, guys. Like, I don't know if anybody knows this, but the training that I do is not partial training. It's full SOPs. It's very, very detailed. I'm going to show you the LLG site deployment SOP right here as an example. This is it, guys. Like it talks about how to create the sub account, how to add the custom domain, how to enable the workflows, which will significantly increase the, which by the way, the workflows are enabled. This is just for, in some cases, when deploying a sub account, they will be disabled. And this, but anyway, long story short, the whole snapshots and everything are all built out with 100% full training, step-by-step training on how to do all of this. Does that make sense? How to do pull and deploy them, how to set them up, how to do everything to make it efficient so that it's duplicatable. You can scale this type of a service very quickly because you can deploy these sites at, very, very quickly, over and over and over again using the same template. So all this stuff is taught in the mastermind specifically for how to do it. And yes, I use HighLevel websites as my preferred website builder. As I already mentioned earlier, I can't stand WordPress anymore. So all of that is part of the Semantic Mastery Mastermind training. The SOPs are all available. The snapshots are all available. Everything is there the moment that you join. Okay. Additionally, is it necessary for me to learn WordPress? No. You can rely solely on HighLevel. Yep. And that's what I would recommend you do. Don't clutter your brain with, and don't spend time learning something that's unnecessary. Spend your time figuring out how to generate more revenue for your business. Learning WordPress isn't going to do that. You have a HighLevel site builder. So go out and learn how to market your services to whatever roofing industry. That's what your industry is, right? You should be focusing on how to generate a lead from roofing, how to generate leads from roofing contractors for your services, how to sell them on whatever offerings you want to, products or services you want to sell them on, and then how to fulfill those products or services in a scalable way. So productizing them or finding fulfillment providers that have productized them so that they can be fulfilled in a scalable way. That's what's going to generate the revenue. Not learning how to optimize WordPress when you already have a site builder that is perfectly suitable for this model. Does that make sense? So focus on the revenue generating activities. And when you generate the revenue, then you'll be able to get that other shit done, right? The fulfillment and everything else. But again, guys, focus on the revenue generating activities. Learning the next SEO tactic is not what's going to generate revenue. Yeah, you might still have to get results and all that for your clients. I get that. But there's ways to do that without you spending your time learning the next SEO tactic that isn't going to help because you're likely not going to implement it properly for all your clients anyways. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not picking on this one individual or anybody specifically on the call. I'm just stating, like, where are your priorities focused? And just, focus on the revenue generating activities first. Because when you have the money coming in, it makes it easier to solve problems for your business, your clients' businesses, etc. Right? It's a lot easier to solve problems and get results when you have revenue than it is to do it 100% on your own, where you're the one doing all the work because you don't have the revenue to pay other people to do it for you. That's clear. All right. So yes, we have all that training available. Come join the mastermind, Ramon. You won't regret it. Mabine says, hey, Bradley, have you run into this type of Google generated site before? I looked at this earlier. It's open right here. I've never seen this before. I'm not sure where that's coming from. Maybe he's a paid advertiser, verified probably. My guess is it's part of the local service ads or something. It's like a Google business website, but it's a single page. You guys see that business.google.com and then /v/ and then it's the company name. And why I think this might have something to do with like Google Guarantee or something, the local search ads or service ads, local service ads, is because it says verified right here. That's the only thing I can think of is that this is and again, I've never run a local service ad campaign for any client. I've brought it to my clients' attentions in the past. And I've even had clients that reach out and say, hey, can you set this up? And I'd say, look, I can manage the campaign once you go through the verification process, but you have to go through a verification process with Google first. And I can't do that for you. And none of my clients have wanted to do it. To be clear, I've not pushed or encouraged any of them to do it because I'm not familiar with local service ads and I would have to learn it. And so because of that, I've never pushed that issue with any of my clients. I brought it to the attention of some clients that nobody had an interest in, and those that brought it to my attention saying, hey, we're considering this. Can you help us? I've told them flat out, after you get verified, I can manage the campaign, but you have to go through the verification process. And that has scared my clients away from doing it. Don't know why. They just didn't want to do it. So I have no experience in that, but I'm assuming that that's what this is. If anybody can chime in and has any data to confirm that, that would be great. But I don't see any replies for that yet. So to answer your question, I don't know how it's done. I'm assuming that that's part of a Google local service ads campaign. Okay. It looks like it might be connected to Google Merchant Center somehow. Yeah, maybe. Like I said, local service ads, Google Merchant Center, maybe something like that. That's what it looks like. Next, thoughts on SearchGPT and OpenAI pushing the SearchGPT Chrome extension to make it the default search engine, which has no ads and directly answers the question, even for local searches. Yeah, I don't really have any thoughts on it yet. Until there's a massive amount of uptake from that, that's not really an issue. And right now, I don't know. I've not even. I mean, I've heard and just through comments of other people that there's a lot of push for that right now, but I've not specifically seen any of that myself. Like I've not been hammered with emails and pitches and stuff. So, like I said, I wouldn't worry about it yet. You know, we'll have time as things start to change to be able to adjust. Right now, I don't have a good answer for that because I haven't thought much about it, to be honest with you. It says, I'm in the process of starting an SEO agency focused on a specific niche, and I'm currently designing the website for it. After watching your content, I've realized the importance of learning sales, which I'll be starting soon, along with incorporating strategies like cold emailing. My question is, should I consider starting a YouTube channel for my local SEO agency to share tutorials and other related content? That's a great question, Ahmed. Yes and no. Okay, there's two reasons I say that. Okay, it's both. Yes, I think it's a good idea, but no, it's also a bad idea, right? So why do I say that? Well, because our YouTube channel generates a lot of traffic and leads and sales for Semantic Mastery, which has in turn also helped me to grow my white label link building service, right? Because a lot of people see my videos on the Semantic Mastery YouTube channel and then they end up going to check out what my white label link building services are about. And they feel confident that they can trust my services because I guess of my YouTube training. So my point is that yes, it can be a great way to build authority to your own personal brand and also to your company or your agency, right? Because if it's going to be you doing the YouTube videos, you are building both your personal brand. And if you're doing it on behalf of your agency, then you're building your agency's brand as well. So you're building personal authority and both brand authority and, knowledge, what do they call it? A subject matter expert, that kind of stuff. You become all of those things when you have a channel that you can display or, demonstrate your proficiency, your competency, if that makes sense. So all of those things are good, and it can generate sales and help to make sales easier because you have now something that you can point to that displays your expertise, etc., that shows that you're a subject matter expert, all of those things. So for all those reasons, yes, it's good to have. But a YouTube channel, recording videos, editing them, promoting them properly, and everything else takes a lot of time, a lot of attention, and a lot of energy. And that if you start on the YouTube channel thing, understand that it is going to be a long and slow process before you start getting results from that. So you're better off initially if you're just starting an agency. If you want to start generating revenue quicker, focus on the marketing and sales side of things more. Not saying don't do the YouTube thing. What I'm saying is budget a specific amount of time and make it a small amount of your overall time budget for revenue generating activities for your agency. In other words, I think it's wise to start a YouTube channel, but think of it as a long-term strategy, something that you invest a little bit of time into every week consistently. And over time, it will gain momentum because you're better off, in my opinion, at first focusing on marketing and sales, finding white label providers to fulfill the services that you want to sell so that you can focus on marketing and sales first and foremost. Because once you get that down, then you'll have the ability to bring all that work in-house that you were using white label providers for if you want to build an in-house team and everything else. And now all you're doing is increasing your margins. You're already profitable from learning marketing and sales up front and having some margin built into your offering that you have a third-party provider fulfill for you, right? Now you know that you've dialed you're in the right industry, right? You started making sales. You've dialed your pitching, your offers in to where they're converting, right? So now you know that you can increase your revenue by increasing your lead generation and your sales activities, right? And so then you can start to bring that work, the fulfillment side of things in-house if you desire to. Here's the thing though, guys. Why do we all get into this business? Some of us get into this business just because we're super interested in SEO. I get it. But most people start in the SEO business, maybe because they have an interest in it, but they also see the potential to make a lot of money, right? Seriously. Why are we all here, guys? It's not, some of you are just SEO geeks. I get that. But the vast majority of you may have an interest in SEO, but you're here more so because you really have an interest in money and you think that you can use SEO and local marketing, etc., to generate revenue. So why do you focus all your time on SEO instead of learning how to generate revenue from that, which is the marketing and sales side of things, right? The SEO itself doesn't generate the revenue unless you are ranking your own products or services, your own digital assets for, for your own business, like ranking your own websites that sell your own products, et cetera, and all those other things. Then learning SEO, yes, you can convert by ranking stuff. But by the way, just because you can rank stuff doesn't mean that you know marketing, that you know sales. You could rank a page, but if the page is shit and doesn't have proper copy, it doesn't direct the reader to take the appropriate action, then it doesn't generate a lead, doesn't generate any sales. Then what's the point of the page ranking? So again, you can learn SEO and learn how to rank stuff, but you should also understand marketing, direct response marketing, sales, right? Things that are copywriting, all the things that are going to help you to become more effective in whatever industry you're in. And so instead of learning SEO first, which you're going to spend weeks, months, even years learning before you'll ever properly monetize it. And sometimes people never properly monetize the skill of being a good SEO. Or start by learning marketing and sales on how to sell SEO services, find a good white label provider that can fulfill and is scalable, and you focus your attention and energy on how to generate revenue in a particular industry, how to be effective in a particular industry at helping them generate revenue from what you can sell them, if that makes sense. That's more about marketing and sales than SEO, guys. Understand that. If you want to be a good SEO, and as a independent SEO or a agency owner or a consultant, a freelancer, somebody that wants to be able to market SEO services, if you want to get good at that and making money from that, then don't focus on learning SEO. Focus on marketing and sales and getting and learning a particular industry so that you can help them to be effective, your client, your industry type, be effective in that industry, right? That's what's going to generate the revenue. And I promise you, there are a bunch of SEOs out there that can get results that you can hire or build a team around, find white label providers, et cetera, that can help. All right. So a YouTube channel, yes, I think it's a good idea, but only invest a small amount of your overall, time for the week on YouTube. Like, I'm not kidding. Let's say you got, I don't know if you're full-time or part-time or what at building your agency, but let's just say you spend 20 hours a week building your agency right now. Then I wouldn't spend more than, 2 or 3 hours a week, 10 to 15% per week on YouTube channel. And that's it. Like, I would cut it off at that. And it might be slow for you to produce content and publish it and all that kind of stuff, but just do that consistently over time and you will start gaining a following, and that was going to help to generate leads and sales. But your initial that's going to be a long-term play. Starting a YouTube channel, guys, you're not that type of YouTube channel. You're not going to make money from that overnight, right? But you can from finding something that finding an offer that is needed and somewhat desired, right? Selling something to a company because you know that they need it is often difficult because a lot of times they don't know that they need it. And so if you try to convince a company that they need something, like it's a two sales process. You have to first sell them on the fact that they need it and then sell them on the fact that you're the best provider of it or the best solution for that. If that's clear. But if you sell companies something that they already have a desire to purchase, even if you know that that's not the best thing for them, but it's a foot in the door, you can start to build a relationship with them, then that's what you should sell them. Sell them something that you know that they want, not that they just need, but something that you know that they want. And so figure out what that is in a particular industry. There's something there, guys, that you can find that in a particular industry, you can find that offer that is compelling, that will generate a high conversion rate, that you can use as a foot in the door product or service to then upsell them, cross-sell them into the services that you know that they need that are actually going to help their business, right? And that's what you need to discover, is what is that compelling service or item or product that gets them, that hooks them. Figure that out. The only way you figure that out is by getting on a whole bunch of calls with business owners in that industry and having a bunch of conversations. Eventually, you're going to figure it out. When you do, now you're on to something, because now you start closing more and more sales. You'll be able to upsell, cross-sell, etc., to additional services, revenue increasers, right? Add-on services, etc. So, great question. I appreciate those kind of questions, guys. I really do. I like the whole questions outside of just SEO, because I feel like not enough people know how to make money from SEO. And that's one thing that I'm hoping to help people do, is make more money from it. What is the significance of custom My maps on Google Map, and what kind of map should we create? Again, I don't do that, guys. Susan, if I can't answer that. You can push a lot of geo-relevance through Google Maps, because it's My Maps, because it's a Google property. It's just not something I'm going to cover here, because I don't do it personally myself. Talk to Doug, talk to, a lot of the members in our, chat box, excuse me, because there's a lot of people that still do that kind of stuff that I don't do. And it's not because it doesn't work. It's just something that I don't do. So I would just look into that and find somebody that does that and ask them. Okay. Is this still a good tool to use in November 2024? Local Fury? Yeah, yes, it is. It's especially for storefront businesses or businesses with published street addresses. It works better for that. We can do some pretty significant things about building brand authority. I can't stress that enough. That's what we're doing with Local Fury now, guys. Precisely, we're trying to build brand authority more than anything, and associate the brand with the locations and the products and services that it provides, and in the locations where it does that. That's what we are trying to do with Local Fury more than anything, okay? Which influences how the map will perform, okay? We're doing brand signals almost entirely. All right, moving on. I'm in the early stages. Let's see. Okay. I'm in the early stages of expanding entity footprint and starting with Web 2s. You advise on creating branded assets specifically for locations with a GBP. Following that, I made location-specific assets for the one location with a GBP, adding the location modifier to the usernames and page titles. However, these assets aren't appearing in brand searches on Google. Not yet. They won't, but they will. I'll tell you how. Okay, let me finish answering or reading the question, and then I'll tell you exactly how to do it. Unlike the location neutral assets that represent the brand as a whole. They also haven't been indexed yet, even though I linked to them from the GBP. That's correct. That doesn't matter. They don't have to be indexed for Google to be aware of them. Linking to them with the GBP forces Google to be at least aware of them. They will index when you build some authority to those properties. Okay, that's precisely why we do what we do with semantic links, which is where we build the branded network, the branded assets right up front in the first month, or if it's a one-off, people can buy branded assets bundle, and I recommend that as the start of all campaigns. Get branded assets bundle number one, which includes an ID page. And this is why, because an ID page is a significant entity component, and an ID page is where you reference all of those branded and supporting asset URLs in any other page URL. Let me demonstrate this. I have to demonstrate this, guys. Okay, this is an ID page, right? So let's go do a quick geolocated search for a minute. Okay, so we're going to go Louisville, KY. We're going to search for Louisville Spelling Pro. All right. I want you guys to see this. Huzaifa, this is for you, buddy. Okay. Because yes, when you just build a branded Web 2.0 network, guys, that has no links built to it, it's got minimal content on the profile pages and everything else. Why would Google index those? You have to give Google a reason to index them. Okay. So let's give Google the reason, which is why we do what we do at Semantic Links in the specific order in which we do it, which is first build the branded assets, which is a 15 property Web 2.0 network, which includes a Google site. We have the ID page, which ties everything together, by the way, the Press Advantage organization page, a batch geomap. Those are the main elements that go into which in the batch geomap comes with the cloud page. So all of those are the main elements that go into the branded asset bundle. And then once those assets are all generated or created, published, we get them back from into the branded Web 2.0 and the batch geomaps come from vendors. The other assets we build. Once we have all that, we then consolidate all of that into the ID page. And the ID page becomes a link building target, a tier 0 link building target, right? That's what this graphic shows right here. Do you understand? The ID page is now the reference point for all of those page URLs that have accurate information published about that specific branded location. And you reference all of those page URLs, every one of them that you can find that is indexed in Google that has accurate information published about the business. You reference them in the ID page. And then the ID page should be designated in the ID field of the local business schema that goes on the location landing page of that project. And then you should build links to the ID page consistently and regularly so that you can force Google to recognize those other assets. That's the whole point. And also reference them in the same as attributes of the local business schema as well. Okay, does that make sense? So take a look at this, guys. This is an ID page here, right? And when I say reference all of the page URLs that have accurate information published about the business, that is going to be, in this case, a lot of these assets here and in the Web 2.0 network, which I omit from this workbook because I use this workbook for demonstration purposes. But for clients, we always have the Web 2.0 network down here with the 15 properties and the login details and the profile URLs and all that stuff here, right? So all of those plus any other external page URLs that we can find on the web that have accurate information published about this particular location are going to get referenced in the ID page. How do we do that? Well, we do it a number of ways. We either embed them or hyperlink to them with traditional embeds and hyperlinks, as you see here. This is the money site. This is the location landing page. This is a link to the location landing page. This is the blogger blog, the branded blogger blog, okay, which from the content mirroring method. This is the Press Advantage organization page, okay, batch geomap, citation vault, Google Business Map profile embed, or excuse me, Google Business Profile map embed, name, address, phone number, website information, links to the service pages, links to the location pages. All of those are reference points, right, that validate data that Google understands about this business. But what about all the other page URLs that I just mentioned? All the other Web 2.0 assets, all the other citations, both structured and unstructured citations, press releases, etc. They're all referenced here, guys. There's over 200 URLs in this G sheet. Over 200 URLs. I think there's 212 or something like that. These are all page URLs that have accurate information published about this specific brand location, right? I teach this in the mastermind, right? It's in the training. But you see any one of these links here that we click on are going to open up to a branded or supporting asset, whether it's a regular business directory listing or a Web 2 or a press release or something, it doesn't matter. There's over 200 branded and support page URLs that are referenced right here alone. And then we build links to it consistently over time. To prove it, take a look. This is the link building sheet right here. Tier 1 links, right? So tier 1 links link to the ID page because the ID page is a tier 0 asset. So where are the tier 1 links to the ID page? Right here, right? We do this for all campaigns, guys. Tier 1 links. Tier 1 links link to usually a anchor text link to the money site, anchor text link to the ID page, and a Google Map embed. That's how we typically build links at tier 1, right? Then tier 2 links would be links that link specifically to tier 1 assets, right? So come back over here. What do we look at? Tier 2 links. What are the links that we're building links to? Sometimes we build links to other tier 1 posts, but sometimes we build links to branded tier 1 assets, batch geomap, Google sites, etc. These are cloud pages right here. Those aren't ID pages. Those are additional cloud pages, right? So I have it remember, my Web 2.0 network is not referenced here because it would have login details and everything else. And so anyways, but adding the additional Blogger, Tumblr, WordPress, Weebly, all of those would go here as tier 1 target URLs so that we could build tier 2 links to them, right? But you can reduce the number of links that you need by consolidating all of those assets into the ID page and then building links to the ID page so that you only have 1 link building target as opposed to 200 link building targets. Do you understand? If I would have to build links individually to all 200 plus of those page URLs there, in order for me to achieve what I can do by building links to the ID page where all of those page URLs are referenced. Is that clear? And again, guys, then this @ID page URL should be referenced in the schema for the money site, for the location landing page, which is going to be this page right here. So if we go take a look at the schema validator right here, we go look at the location landing page. Local business schema, what does it say in the @ID field? It is referencing the ID page URL. You understand? And so I mentioned all that, and I said, let's go look at the brand search, and we didn't even look at the brand search. So let's go look at the brand search, right? Show you exactly what I mean. Take a look at this, guys. Every single top asset here, Google Sites, that's the ID page. There's blog, so that's .blog. That's one of WordPress.com blogs. That's one of their domains. So Louisville Felling Pro on LouisvilleFellingPro.finance.blog. Excuse me, that's finance.blog, which is one of WordPress locations. Here is main website. MapQuest, Yahoo Finance, one of the press releases. Derby City Tree, that's a Brandjacker site. Another main website URL, right? Go look at page 2. What is page 2? Strikingly, that's one of the Web 2.0 assets. By the way, that is not, look at it, open it up. Like, shit, I'm gonna have to go back and click page 2 again. Look at this. Is there any reason this page should be indexed? There's no content on the page other than a YouTube video and some links to the other branded assets, right? And this even has incorrect location information. That's not where the business is located anymore. And so this is an incorrect citation. However, it's still a branded asset, right? So I'm just pointing this out because there's Facebook, Nextdoor, Citation Vault, there's Tumblr, Apple, Google Sites, Cake.me, Press Advantage organization page, right? You guys see page after page after page for a branded search query are branded and supporting assets. This entity is well established. That was by design. That was done intentionally. That wasn't an accident. You understand? That's what the ID page strategy is for. That building branded and supporting assets and spoon feeding that data back into Google, right? So that Google builds that knowledge graph with these branded and supporting assets the way that we want it to, at least to the best that we can, right? We try to force Google to build this the way that we want. Doing this type of stuff makes all other SEO efforts easier, guys. I'm telling you, full stop. This is the key to local SEO right now, is building brand authority. This is one of the ways to do it. You can also build brand authority through signals, which is what Local Fury does. Specifically, we're pushing brand signals more than anything. Like 90% of what we do is pushing brand authority, is to influence brand authority. And it works, especially when you have a published street address, right? Example, you guys seen this before? Take a look at this. Look what I just typed into the search results. Tree trimming LOU. You see the suggestions? Do you see all of these are text-based suggestions? Except for one. Which one? Louisville Felling Pro. It's got a map image. What else does it have? It has map location information because this has a published street address. It has location information in the suggest box. Now, what happens when you hover over this? And by the way, out of all those 10 suggestions, which one does your eye go to? That's a rhetorical question. It's obvious, right? Okay, what happens when you hover over it? Boom. Knowledge panel pops out in the suggest box. That doesn't happen by accident, right? It happens by having a strong brand and manipulating the search signals properly, right? That's something that we were able to accomplish doing what we do. Okay, I'll give you another example, right? Tree removal, LOU, and now it's gonna show me as a liar. Let's look at one more. Sometimes they come and they go, but we can see them come up. Look at that. Now that's also because remember I have a geolocated search right now. You can see it says Louisville, Kentucky. But that's all that matters, guys. I started typing in stump grinding. I got the stump GR with a geolocated browser and what entity what appears in the search suggest box. Louisville Felling Pro for a generic search query. I didn't even start to add the location modifier. Like I didn't even start to type LOU or anything. It's just got the stump GR. Now, again, take a look. Louisville. Now, for those of you that say, well, it's because you have a branded search, right? And you just finished a branded search. It's in your search history. Yeah, that may be true too. But let's just go take a look at something else. So let's just go take a look at in an incognito window now. I just showed you. I just opened up a new browser, incognito. Okay. So there we go. I've just done a search query. It's going to show that it thinks I'm in Atlanta, Georgia right now because of my Starlink. I'm connected through a Starlink. And so Google thinks I'm in Atlanta, Georgia right now. I'm not. I'm in Southwestern Virginia. But now let's go ahead and just change this a bit. And first of all, let's go back to do tree trimming LOU. I just did tree trimming LO. Google thinks I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. And look, what shows up? That same knowledge panel that I was just showing you guys. Okay, let's see if tree removal LOU now will pop. It's not. Not right now, it's not. That's fine. It comes and goes. But let's look at stump grinding. Stump. Look at that. I got the stump space, guys. Atlanta, Georgia. Stump grinding Louisville Filing Pro popped into there. That's done through branding and how the search signals, how they are consistently sent to Google. Does that make sense? So these come and go. I've had this same sort of knowledge panel pop in search suggest for tree service, tree removal, tree trimming, and stump grinding, and also arborist. Right now, stump grinding and tree trimming appear to be the only two, but the other one, tree removal, comes and goes. Tree service has been gone for about a week. Arborist or arborist service comes and goes. So we're still figuring out how to get these to stick better. And we're not guaranteeing that, by the way, because there's a lot of other factors that have to be addressed in order for that to be effective, or for us to be able to do that, which means the branding entity has to be well established, all of that. Okay. So anyway, that's how we're out of time, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap these up for today. And any other questions that I did not get to, we'll get to next week. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for sticking around. I'm sorry if I didn't get to all of them, but it is what it is. I think my partner's left, so I'm just going to take a look at your questions and then we'll wrap up. Okay, only one comment. Costco says, thoughts on building citations for a business address that you don't own? Just a random one from a business complex. I don't recommend it because I've done that in the past, and then that address will start getting marketing, like direct mail, US physical mail, with the company's name that you used in the citation, the business directory listing, because you go on marketing lists, right? And so that company will start receiving mail, solicitation mail, at that address. And if somebody gets that and they submit a complaint, you can get the Google business profile suspended. I've had it happen, just to be clear. So when you're going to build citations for GBPs that don't have a published street address and that aren't in real valid business locations, then I recommend that you only focus on the citations that do not require a street address. And there are some. There's not a lot, but there are some. And then you can also build unstructured or non-traditional citations, which is remember, it's a published mention of name, address, phone number, website information, or some combination of those data points. That some combination of those data points means you can omit the street address. So you can have the name, city, state, zip, phone number, and website address, and omit the street address. And then that's how you can get more citations in more places without having the street address. A lot of business directories are going to require a street address. So you just publish more unstructured citations by mentioning those data points I just described. Okay.